I didn't see anybody. They're gonna plaster the bad news, so I didn't see if any other.
I think May said it correctly. We don't want to sit here and say the wrong thing about somebody with the disease. But when did you learn that they were niggas? There's niggas on the stage, right? You saying Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx on stage?
Well, Jamie Foxx wasn't on stage. Jamie Foxx commented, but it was Michael B. and Delroy Lindo. They were both
and the guy from Malcolm X.
See on Shade Room, but I'm going to make it clear. I don't get all my information from Shade Room. Even if it's posted, I'll check other places to make sure. But basically, recently, the BAFTAs had happened, and Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were on stage presenting an award to somebody. And there was an invited audience member who has Tourette's who ended up blurting out the N-word. And then he said, bitch, while they were on stage presenting the award. And then Michael B. and Delroy kind of just bypassed it and pretended it wasn't seen. But there was actually a comment also from Jamie Foxx when the clip was posted. He said, nah, he meant that shit. Out of all the words you could have said, Tourette's makes you say that. Unacceptable. So just
Who
because
said that?
Jamie Foxx. So just because this is a trending topic and, the guy does have Tourette's and, was on a main stage, what do you think of that whole situation as a whole before we move on? Because I'm curious.
I'm not sure how Tourette's work, but if I didn't do any research, I think my response would have been similar to Jamie Foxx's. I'm not sure how it works. Maybe the information from how it works could give me a different answer, but out of all of the things, you could have just went like this and said hallelujah, but you didn't say that, So I think it's about, even with Tourette's, about what are you pulling out of your subconscious, right? It has to be in there in order for you to pull it out, right? So if somebody is squeezed, pause, the only thing that comes out of a person under pressure is what's normally in them. So if it wasn't in there, it couldn't have come out. Pause.
What was he doing on stage?
So he was actually an audience member. So Jamie Foxx and then one of his co-stars were presenting the award. He was in the audience, and while they were presenting it, that nigga came out.
Why was he on stage?
Why was who on? Jamie Foxx or the
No.
The guy with
he wasn't on stage. He was in the audience.
Oh, okay. Just clear. And he yelled it out from the crowd?
Yeah.
I ain't jacking it.
Yeah, and this goes into what you feed in your brain consciously, because that's what came out.
And that's all that came out the whole show?
I can see if there's other ticks, but that's clearly the one that went viral. But I didn't see anybody. They're gonna plaster the bad news, so I didn't see if any other. I
think May said it correctly. We don't want to sit here and say the wrong thing about somebody with the disease. But when did you learn that they were niggas? There's niggas on the stage, right? You saying Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx on stage?
Well, Jamie Foxx wasn't on stage. Jamie Foxx commented, but it was Michael B. and Delroy Lindo. They were both
and the guy from Malcolm X, Sinners.
I don't watch Sinners. He black?
Yeah.
You should watch Sinners, by the way.
He that nigga, yo. Yeah, he knew what he said. What was it, nigga what?
Nigga bitch.
Nigga, the bitch ass niggas, that's what he meant. He meant nigga bitch.
Oh,
nigga bitch mean bitch ass niggas.
I want to be clear, found his other ticks, but this wasn't on the headline, of course. So throughout he was saying also boring and fuck. So just his different ticks.
So he had different ticks throughout the show.
But
they highlighted the nigga bitch. Yeah. Yo, no disrespect.
Gaslight.
Yeah, it's super gaslight, but what award show was this?
The BAFTAs.
Look, I'm all for everybody being everywhere. I'm just saying.
This is why we're introverts.
Yeah. Why do you have that? You know he has a possibility of doing this, and you don't want to sit there and exclude him out of not being in the awards or anything else. But this was kind of like, damn, what was we talking about the other day, murder? And I was like, you're taking away from somebody's moment. I forget what we was talking about. Drewski, yeah. And I was like, yo, he doing this at a Hall of Fame or some shit? Somebody's getting an award?
Yeah.
Whatever it was taken away. This is taken away from somebody's moment.
This might be the clapback.
Yeah, but
the Jackson Smith Njigba, but
Right,
said
yeah,
nigga,
he said nigga. And it's like you're taking away from his moment when you do stuff like this. Same thing, like I don't know was the exact award or they just talking or whatever, but that's what we're talking about more than the award show. It's like real quick, like with the Knicks, right? They win the cup, but a thumb go on somebody's ass. Pause. Now you talking about that instead of the cup more than everything else. Knicks fans, oh, y'all talking about the wrong thing. Y'all talking about the wrong thing. We watched the nigga in 4K stick his thumb up the point guard ass. That was more of the topic. So certain things to me take away from the actual achievement or what should be focused on. And if that was the case, I'm not saying that certain people shouldn't be certain places, but you shouldn't have them where it's going to take away from the event that's actually going on. But I don't want to say they shouldn't be there, shouldn't participate and everything else. But if it's going to be a distraction, let's figure out where they could be at where it won't distract somebody else or the presentation at hand.
Especially because I'll add too, obviously it was broadcasted and they didn't edit that out. So kind of even like I was saying, even with the Drewski situation, how that happened, and that's in all the broadcast footage, films, whatever. So that kind of does stay with them forever. And it's an unfortunate situation because it's obviously a big moment. And then even for people with Tourette's, like those tics are involuntary. Like I remember there was a situation, this guy went viral because he had Tourette's because he was on the plane and one of his tics, he kept saying bomb. So he ended up having to get kicked off the plane because people are like, what do you mean he's saying bomb? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, the whole situation.
To me, it seems like this a lot, just from the shit that they show us. I can't sit and say I don't want the people with Tourette's saying I don't know enough about it because I don't. But when they show us shit like this, it's like, what's in them to say the wrong shit at the wrong time? Like, how often do you say bomb at home? You get what I'm saying? Do you say bomb when you're at home? A lot. If you do, cool. Bomb's not really a good word on an airplane. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I will have to learn more about it.
And just like when it comes to the airport, they did take him off the plane, even though he had Tourette's, because they had to follow those rules.
Yeah.
So before somebody get upset with us about what we're sharing, we're doing the same thing they would do on the airport. You have to keep the safety of people, even if somebody is going through a mental illness.
What unfolded at the BAFTA Film Awards in February 2026 quickly became one of the biggest talking points of the entire awards season, and surprisingly, it had very little to do with who walked away with the trophies. The ceremony in London was expected to celebrate major films like Sinister, alongside a much smaller British project called I Swear, a movie that most international audiences had barely heard about before that weekend. But as you'll soon see, I Swear ended up becoming the center of a story that no one saw coming. The film tells the real-life story of John Davidson, a Scottish campaigner who has spent years raising awareness about Tourette syndrome. Tourette syndrome can cause involuntary tics, and for some individuals, including Davidson, those tics may involve sudden vocal outbursts or offensive words that they neither intend nor choose to say. The movie explores Davidson's diagnosis, his daily struggles, and the reality of living with a condition that is often misunderstood by the public. Davidson wasn't simply the inspiration behind the film, he also served as one of its executive producers and attended the BAFTA ceremony in person. Before the event even began, BAFTA informed everyone inside the venue that Davidson would be present and that his involuntary vocal tics could be heard during the broadcast. According to BAFTA's later statement, those reminders were repeated throughout the evening so attendees would understand that any unexpected language or sounds were a medical symptom rather than intentional behavior. Then the ceremony officially got underway, with Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, the stars of Sinister, stepping on stage to present the first award of the night for Best Visual Effects, which went to Avatar: Fire and Ash. And that's the moment everything changed. During the presentation, Davidson experienced an involuntary vocal tic from the audience, and it wasn't just another random sound. The outburst was the N-word, spoken loudly enough to be picked up by the microphones and heard throughout the venue. Both Jordan and Lindo are black, and reports later suggested that Lindo, in particular, appeared visibly shocked by what had just happened. Even so, multiple accounts say the presenters paused briefly, gathered themselves, and carried on, because the live show couldn't simply stop. That wasn't the only interruption of the evening either. Reports afterward described several additional vocal outbursts, including one during BAFTA Chair's opening remarks and another while the award for Best Children's and Family Film was being presented. Oscar-winning production designer Hannah Beachler, who worked on Sinister, later revealed that one of those involuntary outbursts had been directed toward her, saying it was an incredibly difficult moment to process, despite understanding the medical explanation behind it. The show's host also addressed the situation live on more than one occasion. At one point, he acknowledged that viewers may have heard strong language and explained that it was connected to the symptoms of Tourette syndrome, directly relating it to the very film being recognized that evening. Later in the broadcast, he reminded audiences once again that Tourette syndrome is a disability and that these vocal tics happen without the individual's control. But here's where the story takes another unexpected turn. The ceremony aired on the BBC with a 2-hour broadcast delay, a window that normally allows producers to remove sensitive content before it reaches television audiences. Yet the slur remained in the final version. It wasn't edited out, and that's one of the biggest reasons this incident exploded
into headlines the following day, because it wasn't only the people inside the venue who heard it. Millions watching from home also heard it exactly as it happened. By Monday, the public reaction had become significant enough that both BAFTA and the BBC felt compelled to issue official responses. The BBC acknowledged that viewers had heard offensive language during the broadcast, explaining that it resulted from involuntary Tourette syndrome tics rather than intentional speech, while also apologizing for any distress caused. BAFTA went even further, issuing what it described as an unreserved apology to Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo, and everyone affected by the incident. The organization also emphasized that Tourette syndrome can cause involuntary vocal tics that do not represent a person's beliefs or intentions, adding that it had taken precautions by warning attendees before the ceremony began. At the same time, BAFTA recognized an important reality. It acknowledged that the language heard that night carries deep historical pain and emotional trauma for many people, and said it wanted to recognize that impact instead of minimizing it. That's the part many people overlooked, and it's worth thinking about for a moment, because two difficult truths existed at the same time. The vocal tic was genuinely involuntary. By every available account, John Davidson neither intended nor wanted to say that word. And throughout his life, he has worked to help people better understand exactly these kinds of challenging situations. The impact didn't stop with the medical explanation. The slur was heard by 2 black actors on a public stage in front of cameras and a packed audience, and that emotional weight was real, regardless of how or why the word was spoken. BAFTA's official response attempted to recognize both realities at the same time, and that's a far more difficult balance than many people realize. Unsurprisingly, the public reaction quickly split into different camps. One side focused on showing compassion to John Davidson, arguing that he never chose this condition, had spent years educating people about Tourette syndrome, and shouldn't be attacked for involuntary symptoms completely outside his control. A UK charity, Tourette's Action, publicly defended him as well, emphasizing that his vocal tics do not represent his beliefs, intentions, or character, while expressing concern over the harsh criticism he received despite decades of advocacy work. Others, however, questioned why so much attention immediately shifted toward protecting Davidson while giving far less consideration to what Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo had just experienced, on stage, live, without knowing exactly when or how such a moment would unfold. One widely circulated opinion argued that many people were quick to offer understanding to the person who involuntarily said the slur, before extending the same empathy to the 2 men who unexpectedly had to hear it while simply doing their jobs. And honestly, that's where the entire debate becomes so complicated. This isn't a story with an obvious hero and villain. Instead, it's about an accessibility effort, welcoming someone with a disability into a public event while preparing attendees for possible symptoms, colliding with the undeniable emotional impact certain words carry, no matter the circumstances behind them. Neither perspective is automatically invalid, and that's exactly why this incident sparked such a difficult conversation. There's another important layer here that many people may not fully understand if they're unfamiliar with Tourette syndrome. It's a neurological condition, and one of its less common but medically recognized symptoms is called coprolalia, the involuntary expression of obscene, offensive, or socially unacceptable words or phrases. Despite being the symptom most commonly associated with Tourette syndrome, coprolalia actually affects only a minority of people with the condition, because its public nature makes it especially memorable. In fact, most individuals with Tourette syndrome never experience this symptom at all. Davidson has openly discussed this part of his condition for years, which is one of the reasons he became such a prominent advocate and why I Swear was ultimately made about his life. His mission has always been to help the public understand that these involuntary outbursts are neurological symptoms rather than reflections of a person's beliefs or values. That distinction is incredibly important when discussing disability awareness. Advocacy organizations have long maintained that involuntary symptoms should never be treated as intentional choices or personal opinions. At the same time, they also recognize that the emotional effect of hearing certain words doesn't simply disappear because they weren't spoken deliberately. Those two realities can exist together. It's entirely possible to show compassion towards someone experiencing an involuntary medical symptom while also recognizing that those who heard the words are justified in processing the experience however they need to. There's another part of this story that deserves attention because it reveals how one unexpected controversy completely overshadowed an important achievement. Robert Aramayo, who portrayed John Davidson in I Swear, won the BAFTA for Best Actor that same night in what many publications described as a major upset over several higher-profile nominees. During his acceptance speech, he spoke about spending significant time learning from Davidson and shared how advice from a veteran actor helped shape his performance. Under normal circumstances, that should have been one of the night's most inspiring success stories. An emerging actor being recognized for portraying a real-life disability advocate in a film centered on empathy and understanding would normally dominate the headlines. Instead, nearly all of that attention disappeared beneath the controversy surrounding the outburst. By the following morning, conversations weren't centered on Aramayo's performance at all. Almost every headline focused on the incident instead. That's why many commentators later argued that, regardless of the medical explanation or anyone's intentions, the unfortunate outcome was that an extraordinary artistic achievement became secondary to a controversy unrelated to the quality of the film itself. The ceremony also celebrated several other major accomplishments, including Wunmi Masoka receiving Best Supporting Actress and recognition for Hannah Beachler's production design work connected to Sinister. Yet those accomplishments were largely pushed out of the spotlight. Nearly every major discussion the next day centered on the same incident rather than the awards themselves. So where does everything stand now? BAFTA has confirmed that it is reviewing how disability accommodations are handled during future ceremonies in an effort to better balance inclusion while reducing the possibility of similar situations catching participants and audiences off guard. There still isn't a perfect solution, and it's a challenge that extends beyond award shows into many public spaces striving to become more inclusive while recognizing that inclusion isn't always simple. One thing experts and Tourette advocates appear to agree on is this: John Davidson did not intentionally make a decision that night. He lives with a documented neurological condition, informed organizers beforehand, and the words that came out were symptoms rather than personal beliefs or intentional statements. At the very same time, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo also did nothing wrong. They were presenting an award during what was supposed to be a celebration when an unexpected moment unfolded in front of a worldwide audience, leaving them no opportunity to prepare or avoid it. Sometimes there isn't a clean conclusion that satisfies everyone. Sometimes two difficult truths simply exist side by side, an involuntary neurological symptom and a genuine emotional impact experienced by others. Perhaps the most reasonable response is recognizing both realities instead of forcing the story into sides. That's the complete picture of what unfolded at the BAFTA Film Awards, how the incident developed, and why the conversation continued long after the ceremony ended. If you found this breakdown informative, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe BAFTA and the BBC handled the situation appropriately, or do you think something should have been done differently that evening? We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you enjoy in-depth coverage of the biggest stories making headlines, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.